everyone, and welcome to What Did I Miss? Where today I have some big Star Trek casting news to share, and that is that Captain James Kirk has been recast and will appear during the second season of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Here I will go over the actor playing him, as well as what established history that Kirk already has with the crew on Strange New Worlds, and how soon I think he will be joining the crew of the Enterprise. But before I get into it, I just wanted to quickly thank you for clicking on this video. If you do enjoy this content, please remember to hit that like button as well as subscribe for the latest in Star Trek news weekly. Now, this all started a couple days ago when pictures surfaced online of actress Christina Chong filming scenes for the second season of Star Trek Strange New Worlds in Toronto, and she was spotted filming with another well-known actor wearing a gold uniform. These pictures have been posted by the Twitter account of Toronto Filming that tracks projects filming in Toronto like Strange New Worlds and Discovery. Christina Chong is set to debut as the character La'an Noonien Singh on Strange New Worlds when the first season starts airing on Paramount Plus on May 3rd of 2022. The actor filming with her is Paul Wesley, who is best known for playing one of the lead characters on the series The Vampire Diaries. Immediately, speculation went wild on the internet as to who Paul Wesley was playing, with some thinking he would be playing an entirely new character, and others guessing that he would be playing a younger version of a character we have seen before but not much of, like Gary Mitchell, Matt Decker, or Robert April. Well, it seems that Paramount felt some pressure to set the story straight after these pictures were leaked to the internet and formally announced that Paul Wesley will be playing a younger version of James Tiberius Kirk. This means that sooner rather than later, Strange New Worlds will be introducing perhaps the most popular character in the history of Star Trek and using him in their storylines. While this is exciting news, I wouldn't be expecting Mr. Kirk to be a member of the Enterprise crew during his first appearance or anytime soon after. Now, if you are more familiar with the 2009 Star Trek movie and not the original lore of the series, seeing Captain Christopher Pike and James Kirk interact early in Kirk's career would not be a surprise to you. In that movie, Captain Pike served as a mentor and father figure to James Kirk and is the reason that Kirk ended up joining Starfleet. Having only seen those movies, you may even believe that the USS Enterprise is the one and only ship that James Kirk served on. But in the original timeline of events, this is not the case. The only interaction seen on screen before these movies between these two characters in the original timeline was on the original series two-part episode, The Menagerie. In that episode, James Kirk, who is now the captain of the USS Enterprise, plainly states that he only met Christopher Pike once, and that was in passing as Captain Pike was being promoted to Fleet Admiral.
You ever met Chris Pike?
We met when he was promoted to Fleet Captain. I took over the Enterprise from Spock, served with him for several years.
We have seen on Star Trek before how the transfer of power goes from one captain to the next, so this is almost definitely the kind of meeting that Kirk and Pike had when Pike handed over the Enterprise to Kirk. Spock, however, in that same scene in the episode Menagerie, states that he had served with Pike for over 11 years before Kirk took over as the captain of the Enterprise. It has been established that Spock joined the crew of the Enterprise in 2254, and I believe that Strange New Worlds will take place at least a year after their adventures with the crew of the Discovery, which would put the first season in 2259 or 2260. This would mean that at least half of Spock and Pike's time together as crewmates on the Enterprise will be a part of the stories for Strange New Worlds, and that since Kirk and Pike only met when Pike was leaving the Enterprise, that these stories will not include Kirk as a member of the crew. So, what was Kirk up to during this time if he was not serving on the Enterprise? According to established canon, James Kirk graduated Starfleet Academy in 2255 and was assigned to the USS Farragut. As a lieutenant, James Kirk was assigned to the Phaser Station, and I believe that in the picture that was released of the character, he is sitting on the bridge of the Farragut. The background is a bit blurry, but the controls on the wall of the ship behind him look to be different than that of the Enterprise. Also, the captain's chair looks different too, but the fact that Kirk is sitting in the chair may be a hint that he is the executive officer on the ship. Also, when you see the two actors filming together, you can see that Kirk's badge is bulkier than the badge worn by La'an, another sign that they do not serve together on the same vessel. In 2257, during Kirk's time on the Farragut, his captain, a man named Garovic, along with 200 of his crewmates, were killed on a mission to Tycho 4, something Kirk blamed on himself. The time period of this series would put Kirk after this event, and it is unknown what Kirk's rank will be at this time, but it is possible, however unlikely, that he is in command of the ship. While James Kirk was always known as an overachiever, going from Academy graduate to captain in 5 years would be improbable, but if any character could do it, it would be James Kirk. Putting Kirk on another ship does not mean that he cannot have interactions with the crew of the Enterprise, such as on away missions, and I think that this is exactly what the pictures of the crew filming show us here. For one, these two actors were seen filming in and around a diner in Toronto in the snow. This scene is obviously not on a ship, especially since the holodeck technology that we have seen on ships starting with the series The Next Generation has not been developed yet. This could be a mission that the two are on that perhaps have sent them into the past, which is why the production crew would choose to film in an establishment like this and not build a set or use a green screen. Star Trek has never been one to shy away from time travel stories, and in fact, both crews on the Discovery and the series Star Trek Picard are currently involved in plot lines regarding time travel. This could be Strange New Worlds dipping their toe into the genre of time travel tales, and if so, it would make sense to include James Kirk. Remember, it was stated by the Department of Temporal Investigations in the Deep Space Nine episode Trials and Tribulations that James Kirk had more temporal incursions than anyone else on record. Strange New Worlds may give us a chance to see James Kirk on his first time travel adventure with a member of the Enterprise crew. It is also interesting that Kirk is seen with La'an Noonien Singh, since her lineage also has a lot of connections to the history of possibly James Kirk's worst villain. As I stated earlier, Christina Chong is playing the character, and she is somehow related to Khan Noonien Singh, played by Ricardo Montalban on the original series episode Space Seed and the movie The Wrath of Khan. Also, if somehow you only watched the movies released after 2009, you would remember the performance of Benedict Cumberbatch as a different version of the same character. In both versions though, Khan is a genetically enhanced human being who led a large group of other genetically enhanced human beings in a war against mankind in the 1990s, and was then sent into space in cryogenic stasis with some of his followers. Captain Kirk and the Enterprise found him in the main timeline and revived him, only for Khan to try and take over the Enterprise. Instead, Kirk is able to stop him and decides to send Khan and his followers to the planet Ceti Alpha 5 to live out their existence in exile. However, decades after this, Khan is found by the crew of the USS Reliant and is able to take over that ship and begins a quest for vengeance against James Kirk. Kirk is ultimately able to defeat Khan, but at the cost of the life of Spock. Since Khan lived almost 300 years before the start of the series, this new character La'an would be a distant descendant, but may also have some of the genetic enhancements that her family carried. Even though Khan and his followers caused a war in his time, since the series is so far removed from that time period, not many people may remember the name Khan. In the episode Space Seed, the Enterprise does not recognize Khan's ship or the people on it at first, and Spock even comments that records of the time when Khan was alive are very sparse. This would allow for La'an to join Starfleet and mean that perhaps she's the only one aware of this connection and is forced to keep it a secret. This would be very similar to how the character Julian Bashir was forced to keep his genetic enhancements a secret from his peers on the series Deep Space Nine, after it was learned that his parents forced him to have genetic enhancements as a child. Julian even played down his physical and mental prowess until his past was exposed. So it'll be interesting to see if La'an is forced to engage in similar behavior in order to keep her abilities a secret. Since La'an is serving with Spock, you would think that Spock would remember her, or at least the name, when he meets Khan later on during the events of the episode Space Seed. But again, if La'an kept this part of her past a secret, then Spock would not automatically make the association between Khan and La'an. But having her meet and seemingly go on a mission with James Kirk is very interesting. If Kirk does develop a relationship with La'an, it would give a lot more context to how Kirk deals with her ancestor Khan later on in life, and is perhaps the reason why he marooned Khan on a distant planet instead of having him arrested by Starfleet. So all in all, I think having these two characters together will bring a lot more context and feeling to the already established canon, and I can't wait to see how it plays out on screen. If you are wondering what the OG Kirk feels about this casting, well, he has already given it his blessing. After Paul Wesley's casting as Kirk was officially announced, he took to Twitter to express his gratitude, but also shared a story of kismet that the actor experienced before his casting. Apparently, on a plane ride to Los Angeles, he was seated in front of none other than William Shatner, who had just returned from his recent voyage to space. Mr. Wesley introduced himself, not knowing that he would be playing the part that William Shatner made famous for so many years. Mr. Shatner also responded to this tweet from the actor and congratulated Mr. Wesley on the casting. Well, that is all I have this week, but let me know in the comments if I missed anything. Thank you very much for clicking on this video. Please hit that like button if you have enjoyed it, and I will see you next time on What Did I Miss?